And we're going to spend a few minutes on a very important topic for the city, and that's affordable and attainable housing. This is a topic that's, I know it's affecting municipalities everywhere, and we're certainly right up there. What first is the definition of affordable housing? I know it's a term people use loosely.
Yes. And not everybody, I guess. There are people who worry and they think about housing and housing projects like they used to think about the old Ontario housing, which if you recall back in the dark days, I guess, it rather ghettoized people. And affordable housing today is much different than that. Affordable housing means that you are spending no more than 30% of your gross income on your housing needs. And that describes affordable housing. And it isn't just for people who are on Ontario Works or ODSP. This applies, anybody can apply for affordable housing, and the rent would be geared to your income. So you will have people in affordable housing who are paying 80% of market value, and you will have people who are paying 100%, and you will have people who are paying 120% of market value. So you have this mix and blend, which creates a nice community within the affordable housing that we in the city are building, not only here but also in Haliburton County, because the City of Kawartha Lakes is the lead agency for social services, not only for the City of Kawartha Lakes but also for Haliburton County.
Okay, so then what do we mean by attainable housing? It's a word that I've only recently started seeing.
Yes, attainable housing is very much like affordable housing, except what it means is that a single person or a family has the ability not only to get a place to stay, either a rental unit or a purchased unit, but also that they have the ability at some point to move up. So if they were in an apartment, they may be able to then move to a condominium unit. From there, they could move to a single family residence. So that attainable means that they have that ability to do that.
Okay. So what tools has council put in place to incentivize new affordable housing by the private sector? I would think that's such a huge part of this puzzle.
It is, really. And we would very much like the private sector to come to the table. Of course, the reasons why they haven't in the past is there has been no incentives for them to do so, number one. And I think that the legislation that's in place, the Tenants Act, scares some of the people off. What we've looked at and what Mayor Latham did at our Committee of the Whole meeting was bring forward a memo in which he charged the Development Charges Task Force to look at several things. And one of the things he asked them to look at was how could we incentivize the private sector? Could it be done by waiving the development charges or reducing the development charges? So that task force is sitting now, and they will be looking at that.
When will they be reporting back?
I believe they are reporting back by the end of the third quarter this year,
okay,
2019.
So it's a process, but eventually, hopefully, we would get some valuable feedback then at the city level to figure out where to go next.
Absolutely, yes. There are a number of other things that that memo did ask them to look at. It asked them to look at, you know, our current payment method for residents. When a developer brings in his development, he can defer payment until occupation. Is that a good thing, or should we be looking at changing that? And there are a number of other issues around the payments and around what development charges should apply to And I think you looked at it in a previous segment with the mayor about the downtown and how development charges may apply to those folks.
That's right. Yeah, so the task force that's set up to discuss the development charges, who is that made up of? Are they all councillors? Are they?
No, I believe there's one councillor, Councillor O'Reilly, I believe, is on that task force, and our financial guru, Dr. Adam Found, is heading up the task force, and it has a variety of citizens on it. It has people from the real estate business, it has developers, it has builders, and it has common, ordinary, everyday citizens who have an interest in the community. So it's a number of different people.
Okay. Are there any other issues to do with affordable housing that we haven't touched on yet?
Well, I think it is the wait list that is most pressing with affordable housing. And as you alluded to in your opening, it's a problem everywhere. We currently have close to 1,700 people, or 1,700 families on the wait list, and a great deal of them are families, not single individuals. That translates to a wait time of 3+ years. And in some cases, it could go as long as 5 years.
That's an average?
The 3 years would be the average.
Okay.
There are times when we look at different people for different housing or where they want to live. There may be an opening, but it's not where they want to live. If there's an opening in Haliburton, somebody from Lindsay isn't going to move to Haliburton to take advantage of it, as an example. So there are reasons why it may slip past the 3.5 year. And we are working very hard to come up with affordable housing and to come up with units. And one of the things we're doing, we're looking at our consolidated bylaw, and it's coming to council tomorrow to look at a consultant to bring back a consolidated bylaw, because when we were an unamalgamated entity, each little township had its own bylaws.
Right.
So now we're trying to make them cohesive. And for instance, in some of our other communities, secondary suites aren't allowed.
Right.
And secondary suites would go a long way to addressing some of the affordable housing issues. So I'm hopeful that we can get those dealt with first so we can move this along.